Hello and welcome back to another episode of this week's watches, and like every week we have a great variety for you. We actually have two Rolexes, two Tudors, four Grand Seikos, as well as some other oddballs, including a 1940s hinged lug chronograph. This is going to be an interesting week. I think you guys and girls are really going to enjoy it. Now, as always, if you want to skip to specific watches, you can do so via the description. You'll see each watch listed, a timestamp to go directly to that watch. You'll also see a link to the website to head on over and purchase, check out the description, read the, further, have a look at the photos, whatever you want to do, it's all there for you. And I do want to apologize if there's any background noise. Right now in the UK, it is incredibly hot, and for any of you in the UK, you know when we get a heat wave like this, the humidity is unbearable. And apparently next week, so I'm recording this on Wednesday, obviously it goes out Saturday, apparently Monday, Tuesday, it could get up to 40 degrees, which I don't know if that's ever happened in the UK. I don't know. It sounds like I don't ever recall it ever getting that hot in the UK throughout my lifetime, that's for sure. So do keep an eye out on Instagram if you are wanting to book an appointment to come view things on Tuesday or whatever day this crazy temperature might be. Just keep an eye out because we might not be open. We'll try and let you guys know with as much advance as possible, but if it does get up to 38, 39 degrees, I think we're just going to call that day a write-off and spend the day at home drinking water in the darkness, trying to stay cool, which I suspect a lot of you guys and girls will also be doing. So yeah, that's that. Now, what's on wrist before we get on to the watches? I am wearing a moon swatch. I finally got one, and no, I didn't get one at retail. I paid over retail because at the end of the day, I don't really have the time to pop back and forth to Covent Garden every day to see if they've got some. And also, I still think under £500, this is a really fun watch. Now, hear me out. If you go into this expecting an Omega, you're going to be very disappointed. Whereas if you go into it expecting a fun plastic swatch, I think you're going to be really, really blown away by how fun it is, how enjoyable it is, and especially in this heat, how great it is. Because plastic, super light, this band, you haven't got to worry about it at all. I haven't taken it off since I got it, which would have been last week, I think. I'm really enjoying it. So that's the one I got. I think it's a mission to Pluto. Could be wrong, but I think it's the mission to Pluto. Either way, I suspect I'll probably end up picking up a few more of these soon. So yeah, keep an eye out. Now, where to begin? We're going to start up at the top with the Rolexes. We actually have two Datejusts, both on Jubilee, and really it's quite interesting to see the differences as the years have gone on. But either way, both really cool watches. We're going to start with the 41mm Datejust. Let's take a closer look. What a fantastic watch to start this week with. This is the Rolex Datejust 41 with the slate grey or rhodium grey dial. Absolutely beautiful. You've got the smooth bezel, you've got the baton indices or the stick indices as they call it, you've got the Jubilee bracelet, which is full size. It does come with all of its links. It's probably sized to my wrist right now because again, I did enjoy this one, give it some time on the wrist in the office just to see what 41mm truly wears like, because for me the Datejust is always going to be the 36mm, the classic quintessential Datejust. However, I've got to be honest, I'm quite surprised that 41mm actually doesn't wear insane. Do I prefer the 36? 100%, but the 41 isn't insane. So this is a reference 126300. This one's from February 2018. It does come with its box and papers. And beaten away inside is the automatic Rolex caliber 3235. The condition of this one is fantastic. It's been polished in a previous life. That's one way to put it. And it can be polished again if you want it to look brand new when you get it. But overall, it's really good condition. A couple of scratches here and there, but nothing major at all. And that dial is fantastic. This sort of monochromatic look, which I think suits the watch really, really well. But let's show it on wrist and talk dimensions. And here we go on my just shy of 7-inch wrist. You can see it doesn't overhang the wrist and it doesn't look out of place or uncomfortable. It's surprisingly good. So this is 41mm by 47mm lug to lug on the 11.5mm thick and 21mm lug. So a little awkward on that lug length. However, personally, I'd just be wearing this on the Jubilee anyway. Let me know what you think. 41mm, is it too big or is it actually wearable? And have you tried one on? That's always an interesting thing, because everyone likes to give an opinion on something they've not actually tried. So have you tried one of these on, and how did it feel on wrist for you? From there, we have a fantastic potential birth year for anyone born in 1995. It also comes with its box and paperwork. It's got a complete bracelet. It is sized to my wrist currently because, of course, I enjoyed this one. With a beautiful tapestry dial. Let's take a closer look. Next up, we have a gorgeous 36mm Rolex Datejust with a tapestry dial. Really, really amazing. You've got the vertical lines right there. which just look fantastic. Date over there at 3 as you'd expect, but as we get closer up you can hopefully see that dial a little bit better. It's quite a hard thing to capture, but it looks fantastic, in my opinion anyway. Not everyone's a huge fan of this, but really, really gorgeous. You've got obviously the 18 karat white gold fluid bezel, screw down crown. It's on its original Jubilee bracelet, which actually comes with all of its links, so it's a complete bracelet. And the condition of this watch is surprisingly really good. Now, the reason I say that, this watch is actually from June 1995 and comes with its box and papers. But the watches from the 90s often we get, and the condition isn't very good because these were worn, you know, these were enjoyed. And in the 90s, whilst they weren't cheap, they weren't as expensive or seen as so much of a luxury as they are today. So people bought Datejusts and they wore them every single day, which is fantastic. But this one has actually been well looked after and the condition is fantastic. So the reference to this one is the 16234, and it does feature the sapphire crystal, which again is a nice plus. And beating away inside is the automatic Rolex 3135, a very reliable movement. Now, I believe they still use in some models today, or they've recently just stopped using, so you can be, you know, assured you're getting a very good watch overall. As I say, June 1995, and it comes with its box and paperwork and spare links, so you're getting yourself a really good looking watch and a really great deal here as well. But let's show it on wrist and taut dimensions, and here we go, sized up to my just shy of 7-inch wrist. I think that looks perfect on my wrist and it's super comfortable. I've always been a big fan of how these Datejusts wear, and I will totally have one in the collection at some point in the future, there's no doubt about it. But 36mm by 43.5mm lug to lug, only 11.5mm thick and 20mm lugs, a classic lug width to swap out onto a leather strap or anything you could possibly want to. However, on the Jubilee, I think it looks at home, so go check it out on the website today. Now we're going on to Tudor, and we're going to start with the Tudor Black Bay ETA Blue. You guys and girls know these ETAs have been going absolutely crazy, and it's been great to see the popularity in these, because I remember working in retail and we couldn't shift them. This is when the new ones came out. No one wanted the old ones, as they were called. They wasn't even really referred to as the ETAs even back then. But a really great watch. Let's take a closer look. So the Tudor Black Bay ETA Blue, absolutely fantastic. The way you can differentiate between this and the non-ETA is the text, and it's curved, so they call it the smiley font or the smiley, which basically lets you know it's an ETA inside, and specifically inside is the ETA 2824. A very reliable movement used across many watches for many years. But the specific reference to this one is the 79220B. This one does come on its original leather strap with signed buckle, and it is in worn condition but not overly worn at all, and it is in very good condition, to be honest, considering everything. A really good looking watch, and these, as I say, have become very collectible. Now, if I'm not mistaken, you can still get the bracelet from Tudor. They actually still sell the bracelet for this watch. So as long as you're not trying to buy one of the bracelets in the next sort of 2 years, you should be able to still get one whilst they've still got them available. So that's something interesting as well. This one's from September 2015. It does come with its box and paperwork. And again, you know, these are just getting harder to find. The black is the rarest of the bunch, but the burgundy and the blue are certainly creeping up there. More and more people are starting to appreciate them. And we priced it very fair considering the condition and the set. You know, we've had a couple of these as watch only over the years, and even those are starting to creep up in price. But let's show this one on the wrist and taut dimension. And here we go on my just shy of 7-inch wrist. Now, when I first started out in the industry, I found this watch way too big and way too thick, and I still think it's definitely on the bigger side and the thicker side to what I'd traditionally wear. However, I feel like I can totally get away with it now, and it's actually pretty comfortable on the wrist. Really good looking piece. So it's 41mm by 50mm lug to lug, 12mm thick and 22mm lugs. So really cool dimensions, especially if you like the bigger watches. But go check this one out on the website today. Now on to one of the latest from Tudor. This is the Tudor Ranger. We're very happy to have a completely unworn, fully stickered example, box and papers as you'd expect, obviously. A really great watch. I think it's fantastic for the money. Let's take a closer look. So next up we have the brand new Tudor Ranger, and we're going to keep it fully stickered, which is including the clasp, so we won't be able to actually show it on wrist today, but you get a pretty good idea by looking online. Bark and Jack actually did a fantastic review. Highly recommend you check that out if you're interested in the watch. But this is the latest watch from them, 39mm Ranger, based on the older reference that they released, I believe, in the 60s or 70s. It's a good looking watch. I think they've done very well, and I actually think the 39mm wears surprisingly well. So whilst I can't show you this one on wrist, I have seen one in the shop and actually tried it on myself as well, and I think it fits nicely. But this is the reference 79950, and this one's from July 2022, obviously brand new full set. And inside is the automatic Tudor caliber MT5402. The dimensions of this are 39mm by 12.5mm thick, 48mm lug to lug, and 20mm lugs. I personally like it on the strap, personally, the most. I think it looks really, really cool. However, the bracelet is fantastic. It's got the same clasp as the Pro, so you can actually glide up and down and get a really comfortable fit, which is nice to have. I think these are fantastic, especially the retail price of £2,420 on the bracelet, and I think a couple of £100 less on the strap. I don't see how you can go wrong, and I think this is going to be one of the ones that actually are available at retail the quickest. So do understand, if you pay over retail, chances are in a couple of months or maybe even weeks you'll be able to pick one up at retail, so you're paying for the sort of ease and quickness of buying one today, so keep that in mind. But go check this one out on the website today. Now we're going to switch it up to Grand Seiko, and as I say, we have 4 on the table, 4 really awesome examples as well. We're going to start with a GMT, which is the older generation, now discontinued, long discontinued, limited edition of 500 pieces. Probably my favorite Grand Seiko on the table, actually. Let's take a closer look at this one. What a beautiful Grand Seiko. For me, this is one of my favorites, and this burgundy red deep dial is fantastic. It actually has a really gorgeous texture, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to pick that up on the camera, but it is gorgeous, trust me. You've got the sort of the pop of almost like a orangey gold colour with the GMT stated and the GMT hand. And obviously this is from a period where Seiko was still on the dial, so a lot of you guys and girls know today it's just Grand Seiko. They're known as Grand Seiko, whereas before it was Seiko Grand Seiko. So there's almost a bit of like stealth wolf sort of attitude to these older Grand Seikos, which I really, really love. And to people who have absolutely no idea, they look at your wrist, they see Seiko, and they think, oh, that's just a cool Seiko. But for those of you that really know your watches, you're going to know this is a very special Grand Seiko indeed. This is a limited edition of 500, the reference SBGJ021, and inside beating away is the automatic Grand Seiko caliber 9S86, which is a GMT movement. And as you can see, it has that gorgeous heat-treated rotor, which absolutely looks incredible. It's got this almost rainbow color effect, which just plays with the light beautifully. And again, to have all that hidden behind the case, somewhere you're very rarely ever going to look, I think is really cool. It does compare on its original full-size Grand Seiko bracelet, and it does come with its Grand Seiko box and paperwork, and the watch is from December 2016. You'll have to forgive all the noise in Clerkenwell. We have to have the windows open at the moment, trying to survive this heat. But as I say, December 2016, full box and paperwork, everything with it, and a fantastic looking watch, and a really good deal as well. But let's show it on wrist and tall dimension. And here we go on my just shy of 7-inch wrist. It fits really well. I always like how these Grand Seikos wear, especially at 40mm by 46.5mm lug to lug, 14mm thick, so it is a bit on the thicker side, but it still wears well because of the flanks of the case. And you've got 19mm lug, so a little bit awkward on the lug length, but there are 19mm straps that this would look fantastic on. However, I'd be wearing it on the bracelet. I think that's a really cool looking sports watch from Grand Seiko with a screw down crown, so you can wear it without having to worry. But go check it out on the website today. Now from there we're going to go over to a Snowflake, but it's not just any old Snowflake. This is, well, the nicknames vary, but from what I can see it's nicknamed the Red Snowflake, and you can see why. It's got the pop of red in the hand, red around the outside of the bezel, and also red on the crystal. Let's take a closer look. Next up is this awesome Grand Seiko. This is actually a limited edition by AJHH, which is a association in Japan. You can head over to our website to see exactly what the HH stands for as well. But yeah, go check it out. So this is a limited edition. We don't actually know how many they made. They didn't really make it public, which again makes it quite interesting. Seiko have done this in the past as well as Grand Seiko, but an absolutely gorgeous design. You've got basically a snowflake, and it's a snowflake all the way through down to the titanium case and the gorgeous white textured snow dial, if you will. However, this one has hints of red with the second hand, the spring drive, the power reserve hand, and around the crystal, including the case back, which as you can see is completely red. You can barely see the movement. Absolutely awesome, and again a real pop of red. For me it looks like blood in the sand, which I'm sure is not what they were going with at all. It's pretty brutal, but I think it looks really cool nonetheless. So inside this, or the reference to this one, is the SBGA 421, and inside is the spring drive Grand Seiko caliber 9R65, and this one's from April 2020 with its full box and papers and full size bracelet as well. Screw down crown as you'd expect. Is basically a really cool, unusual spring drive. And for those of you that know Grand Seiko, you'll know that these little quirks and differences can make all the difference. So let's show it on wrist and talk dimensions. And here we go on my just shy of 7-inch wrist. The Snowflake always wears so comfortably, especially being all titanium. It's incredibly light. So you have 40.5mm by 48.5mm lug to lug, 12.5mm thick and 20mm on the lug width with drilled lug holes, so you can swap out the bracelet to a strap nice and easy. However, for me, again, I think this looks good on the bracelet. So go check this one out on the website today. Now for a spring drive, and this one has a incredible dial. It's quite difficult to see in some lights, but I think it's absolutely fantastic. This is known as the Katsu-iro Boutique Edition. I probably butchered that, so I do apologize, but let's take a closer look. Next up, we have a Boutique Edition Grand Seiko with a incredible dial, incredibly hard to capture as well. In some lights it looks plain black, in others it pops this gradient blue, and then in other lights you really capture what it actually looks like, which has this very fine texture, which is what Grand Seiko do so well. They provide dials that really, you have to look closer and you have to really appreciate and take a closer look at to get the full value, if you will, and this is no exception. So this is the reference SBGA 469, and inside this is the spring drive caliber 9R65, sorry, same as the Snowflake we just looked at. So you've got power reserve over there, you've got a nice exhibition case back to show the spring drive beating away, or not really beating away, spinning away we should say. As you can see, this one's still got some stickers on the clasp. It's pretty much unworn. I don't think it's been worn much at all, maybe tried on once or twice, but you're getting yourself a new watch essentially. But a really gorgeous watch nonetheless, and everything about this watch is the dial. They're shot on wrist and torque dimensions. And here we go on my just shy of 7-inch wrist. It's the exact same dimensions as the Snowflake we just looked at. However, in stainless steel it has a much more of a heft to it, much more of a presence on the wrist. 40.5mm by 48.5mm lug to lug, only 12.5mm thick, and again 20mm lugs with again drilled lug holes to make strap changing a breeze. This on a really nice dark blue leather could look awesome, or a suede or something. I'll put everything on suede, as you guys know, but go check this one out on the website today. And last but by no means least, we have a 25th anniversary with the 9F quartz with this gorgeous gold bezel. I think this looks fantastic. Let's take a closer look. Final of the Grand Seikos is this absolute beauty. This is a limited edition of 600 pieces to celebrate the 25th anniversary of the 9F quartz, a revolutionary quartz movement for Grand Seiko. Really great movement. This is specifically the 9F82 caliber, and the reference to this one is SBGV238, and that right there is an 18 karat yellow gold bezel, as well as indices and hands, which really pop against the light, and you have that beautiful star on the dial as well. Date over at 3 o'clock. And it is paired on its original full-size bracelet. However, the gentleman who brought this watch into us was wearing it on a strap originally himself, and the bracelet has been kept in pretty much unworn condition. And I will say, this on a brown leather looks far better than on a bracelet, in my opinion. It's such a good-looking watch, and it really complements the leather straps, especially as like a more dressy piece. However, at least with this, you have the option of the bracelet for a more sporty feel, if that's what you're into. Yeah, there's not really an awful lot more to say about this watch. It's from April 2020, June 2020, and it does come with its full box and papers. But let's show it on wrist and torque dimensions. And here we go on wrist, pretty much the same dimensions as the rest, apart from much thinner, and it really sits low against the wrist, which is why a leather strap on this is just going to hug the wrist beautifully and give a really unique wrist presence. So what you're looking at here is 40mm by 46mm lug to lug, only 10mm thick, and again 19mm lugs, a little bit awkward, but there's plenty of strap options out there, and we may even have a few we can throw in for you if you're interested. So go check this one out on the website today. Now on to a Nomos. We have the Nomos Club Neomatik, a really fun summer's watch, perfect for this kind of weather, especially on this canvas strap. I think this is fantastic. Let's take a closer look. Next up, the Nomos Club Neomatik. We've had a few of these over the years, and I say it every time, they are fantastic for the money. The pops of colour and this sort of unusual style dials, the very Bauhaus design, which is pure simplicity, but really sort of changed to be this fun, funky pop of colour. I think it's fantastic, and Nomos have really nailed it. This specific reference is the reference 740, and inside is the automatic Nomos DUW 3001, a beautifully decorated movement, which is actually very nice to see in the case back. You can see right there, you've got the balance beating away. Absolutely gorgeous. Dimensions are perfect as well. We'll talk more on that in a second, but you've got that pop of colour with the orange and the blue all contrasting nicely against the white of the dial. I really like these watches. I think for summer they're perfect, especially paired on its original nylon strap, which again is just going to defeat any sweat. You're going to be perfectly fine wearing this and not have to worry about it, which is the fun part of it. This one's from May 2020 and it does come with its box and papers. But let's show it on wrist and taut dimensions. And here we go on my just shy of 7-inch wrist. Now for me with Nomos, 37mm is kind of my limit. I actually think any bigger than this, they wear too big because the lug-to-lug lengths are really long half of the time for the case sizes. So I'm perfectly fine wearing a 33, 32mm Nomos. I think they look fine on my wrist, but this one is 37mm by 49mm lug to lug, 9mm thick, which is really thin for an automatic like this, and 18mm lug, so endless options if you're not a fan of this strap pairing. However, it does really work, it's super comfortable, and it would be perfect for the summer. So go check this one out on the website today. Now onto a hinged lug chrono from the 1940s. This is one that I was enjoying myself for a while. I knew eventually it was going to come for sale, but I just wanted to, get about a month or so of enjoyment out of it myself before I did bring it to the store. But let's take a close look at this gorgeous watch. So what you are looking at here is an absolutely gorgeous Zeiss watch company hinged lug chronograph from the 1940s. Now what does hinge lug chronograph mean? As you probably guessed, it means the lugs have a hinge, so they are articulating, or articulation lugs, or whatever people want to call them. There's so many nicknames out there, but really fantastic. And what it allows for is a really comfortable fit on the wrist, because you can go all the way down like that if you have a tiny wrist. If you have a really big wrist, it can sort of arch round as well, so you've got that option, which is fantastic. The dial is original, it's patinaed, and it's developed this sort of fading to it. You've got the original pops of blue still in there, and this vibrant red second hand for the chronograph, which again is all original. You've got the nice pushers on the side of the case, which obviously starts, stop and reset as per normal. Feels very nice to use, and inside is a Landeron 13, a movement you do not see often at all. Which is obviously manually wound. As I say, circa 1940s, of course it's watch only, and the way the strap works is this is a folded strap, so do keep that in mind. There is a bar, not a spring bar, so you have to get a strap that can fold over and be glued down or pinned, secure, so it doesn't come off obviously. We paired it on this black strap, which I think really works with the design and really gives it that vintage feel. But let's show it on wrist and taut dimensions, because I think some people are going to see those dimensions and maybe shy away, when I don't think you should at all. And here we go on my just shy of 7-inch wrist. That is awesome. It wears so cool. So what you've got is a 32.5mm case right here by 46mm lug to lug, and that's a full extension like it is right now. So keep that in mind. This might seem small, but you've got this extra sort of heft going on at either side of the case, which really helps with wearability. 12.5mm thick and 16mm lugs, so endless options on straps. There's plenty of companies out there that do open-ended straps that you can easily put on and off, and even on eBay there's some good options as well. So go check this one out on the website today. From a 40s chrono to a 70s Japanese chrono with the Citizen Bullhead, another one from the personal collection. I'm having a big sort of switch up of the personal collection at the moment. Who knows what's coming next? We'll have to wait and see, but this is one that's hitting the block and I'm totally going to regret it. I've owned it multiple times and no doubt I'll probably own it again in the future, but let's take a closer look. So next up is the Citizen Bullhead. What a gorgeous looking watch. I've always been a massive fan of these. I've had them on and off in my collection for years, and this one I'm going to be sad to see go. It's a really cool watch. Unfortunately the chrono doesn't reset bang to 0, so let me show you. So when you start the chronograph, you start it with the left side, start, stop, as normal. Nice feeling, nice actuation, it feels good, it feels sturdy. However, when you reset, you can see it goes past the 12 o'clock and is resetting over here. My watchmaker's tried a few times. It can be done, it just means the whole thing's got to be stripped. And the watch was serviced not that long ago before I bought it, and it's running beautifully. So to go through all of that when a watch is already running perfect, yes, you could argue is the right thing to do. But at the end of the day, we're pricing it as such. We're not, asking as much as we could do if there was resetting to 0, because for me personally, with my own watches, it doesn't bother me. You can either keep it running or you can do what I did, which is stop it at 0, like so. And then it looks like it's just sat there as it would be anyway. But at the end of the day, we're honest, so we tell you. You've got the day date down there at 6, which is obviously in Japanese. It looks fantastic. The dial of this one is wonderful. The case is great. It's this angular case, which I much prefer. Nice signed case back as well, and it's a Citizen signed bracelet, which again is super comfortable. Inside this is the automatic Citizen Caliber 8110-A or 8110A, which is a movement they used in multiple chronographs, not just this one. And it's from the circa 1970s. Again, fantastic condition for its age. They show it on wrist and taut dimensions. Here we go on my just shy of 7-inch wrist, and seeing that back on wrist, I'm going to regret this one. If it doesn't sell, I'm not too fussed. But here we go, really, really cool looking watch. The reason it's called Bullhead, I figured a lot of people would know, but just in case you don't, obviously you got the pushers and crown up here at the top, which is almost like horns of a bull, so they call it a bullhead. 38mm by 41mm lug to lug, 12.5mm thick and 18mm lugs. You can pair it on a strap if you like. However, on the bracelet, I think it looks best. And as I say, I have just shy of a 7-inch wrist, and it is on the final hole. So do keep that in mind. I don't have any spare links, unfortunately. You might be able to find some, but I can't guarantee you will, because the watch is from the 70s. The bracelets are just hard to find. But go check this one out on the website today. And last but by no means least, a watch I had to pick up as a poker fan and someone who actually plays on PokerStars. This is the TAG Heuer Accuracer PokerStars edition. Just a lot of fun, and also not a lot of money at all. It's actually priced pretty much the same as the standard model. So I'm not charging a premium for the fact it's got PokerStars on it. But let's take a closer look. So the TAG Heuer Accuracer PokerStars edition. Now, I've always been a big fan of the Accuracer. I think it's a great watch, and I think the latest one is fantastic. I actually went in and tried it on, and if it was not the polished Centerlink bracelet, I would probably be seriously considering one for the collection. But that polished Centerlink really just puts me off personally on the newer one. Whereas on these older ones, you've got the polished side, you know, you've got the polished chamfers on the bezel, so the polished bracelet kind of makes sense as well. But this is specifically the WAF 2013, and it's from circa 2010s. Now, the way the story goes with these PokerStars watches is you could buy them on PokerStars with basically your tokens. So when you play on PokerStars, you get points essentially, and those points you can use in a PokerStars store to buy different things. And this was the most expensive thing in the store at the time. There's no official numbers on how many were made and how many were sold, but I assume it's not going to be a lot, considering very few have ever actually come up. Now, unfortunately, this one is watch only, and it is worn. You know, whoever owned this probably bought it and actually wore it. Whereas a couple of them I've seen that have come up have been, you know, full box papers and worn and stickered and all that, and they're asking crazy prices. But yeah, I think for the money, this is a fantastic watch regardless of the PokerStars connection. And also it's just their logo, which is actually quite an attractive logo. And it's not, you know, massive, says PokerStars on the dial or anything like that. So you haven't got to worry. Inside is the automatic TAG Heuer Caliber 5, which is basically an ETA or Solita. And it does come on its original bracelet as well. Really comfortable and good looking watch. And let's show it on wrist and taut dimensions. And here we go on my just shy of 7-inch wrist. Again, this is sized to me at pretty much all the links in and on the last hole. So if you have a bigger wrist than I do, you're going to need more links, which we should be able to find because these are relatively, they're out there, so we should be able to get you one. But the size of this watch is 41.5mm by 48mm lug to lug, 11.5mm thick and 20mm lug, so endless options on strap if you're not a fan on the bracelet. However, I think it just suits the bracelet and it's a good looking watch for the money. So go check it out on the website today. So there you have it, guys and girls. This week's drop, 12 watches. There was more, but we've sold them. As always, make sure you're following on Instagram at Kibble Watches, because we showcase what's coming soon and people snap them up pretty quick. You know, you don't always see everything that comes to the website. I'd probably say each week there's probably a couple of watches that go out before they even get a chance. So make sure you're following on there, ask us a price, don't be afraid. Let's get the communication going and we can get it shipped over to you to be enjoyed. So thank you all very much for watching. I hope you keep well, keep hydrated during this heat, and we'll see you all again next week. Take care.